Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters. Lesson 24. Mediumship. Analysis of the manifestations. Channeling. Training for service. In order to avoid inconveniences, no attempt should be made to obtain messages in private. Everything that is necessary to know and receive for your best spiritual and human preparation for service will be learned and received in work meetings. Asking for messages in private to solve your own problems or those of others poses a risk of astral contacts that must be imperatively avoided in order to prevent confusion and potential deviations. There are cases where negative beings manage to take possession of the mind of a person, even instilling ideas of destruction for others and for themselves. The negative forces know that the work done in the work of Christ will result in their removal from our planet because the spiritual forces that will reach the earth through the work will eliminate the negative forces and beings from our astral plane. The negative forces try in every way to prevent this, and one way is by diverting those who are preparing to obtain higher plane contacts and those who are spirits incarnated to work in the labor of world salvation. Therefore, it is necessary to follow the guidelines of the higher planes in order to prevent the negative forces from achieving their goal. They will approach trying to divert those who are meant to be instruments of good. If, even against one's own will, as can happen at first, some message is received, oral, written, heard, or seen, it should not be given real value until it is analyzed by the master. The way negative beings use to influence mediums and facilitate their deviation is to flatter their vanity. No higher being will encourage vanity. They will speak with love even when they must rebuke, but they will never flatter or encourage vanity. When a higher being must make an announcement to us about the marvelous future events that await the work of Christ, they will always do so by letting us understand that we are instruments. Regardless of the elevation which we can reach as humans and the needs of the task that we must develop, we will always be instruments. Therefore, we should never feel worthy of honors or awards for the work we have done. When negative beings want to confuse mediums and humans, they flatter their weaknesses because they know their anxieties, grudges, ambitions, and family discordances, everything that constitutes the negative aspect of their lives. They influence this when speaking to them or manifesting themselves in the mind of the medium. In these cases, the medium assumes that it is themselves who think this way, when it is the negative incidence that is working in their mind. Especially in the beginning, negative beings try to infiltrate doubt about the reality of the work of Christ and about the ability of the most advanced students who have been designed to guide you as servants. Negative beings try in every way to separate the aspirant from the path, to lead them down other paths, encourage their vanity, and bring confusion to the groups. Therefore, no manifestation that might be produced should be accepted until it has not been perfectly analyzed. The mediumistic capacity developed well and with purity should be channeling. We accept the word medium as a synonym for instrument or means for beings from space to manifest on earth. Actually, we only have that one word in our vocabulary to refer to the wide range of spiritual quality that exists among those who receive the manifestations. We call all of them mediums and channels. Mediums are those who, without prior preparation, have awakened certain invisible centers which we all possess, and that enable the human being to contact astral planes. Mediums can be used either by positive or negative forces, and generally their minds are nulled while in trance. In the work of Christ, the work is different. The higher beings try to connect to our incarnated spirit with their planes, and it is through our own incarnated spirit that our mind receives their messages. That connection is relatively easy to achieve. All the advanced spirits are prepared for it because the spiritual vibrations are in harmony with the vibrations of the higher planes. This harmonization has been achieved through thousands of years of overcoming and work carried out under the guide of the higher planes. As incarnated beings, none of this is remembered, nor is the mission for which we are on earth. However, when the time comes, all advanced spirits feel the call in one way or another, either with sudden manifestations, an intense desire to acquire spiritual knowledge, or a constant restlessness that finds no explanation or satisfaction until coming into contact with the work of Christ and working in it. This means that no one has been designated as human for this mission, that no one has been chosen for being in a specific human position or situation, but rather that the Spirit itself is missionary. For this reason, no attempt is made to awaken mediumship, but rather to favor and carry out channeling. All advanced beings, due to their preparation through millennia of work, are qualified to channel higher forces. The channeling is carried out by connecting the incarnated spirit with the higher planes through subtle vibratory channels. These channels allow the higher beings to send their forces and their vibrations gradually and progressively so that the incarnate spirit adapts as a human to those vibrations. Then, through their love for the work, dedication, elevation of thought, purification, and everything that favors contact with the higher planes, that connection is strengthened, allowing constant improvement of the channeling of higher vibrations and their manifestation in the being. When from higher planes, the connection work begins in an incarnated spirit, which will allow to channel their forces to our physical plane, the vibrations received set the higher centers which human beings possess in action. Elevated contacts are easily possible only through these centers. In the work of Christ, the aim is not to develop mediumship, but to prepare for service. Preparing for service will allow us to fully carry out the work for which we have incarnated at this moment on earth. The work that has been desired and requested, for which the Spirit has been prepared for thousands of years in space and on earth in successive incarnations, achieving improvement through trials and pains. This is the purpose of our present incarnation, to be channels of the higher forces and to serve Christ by serving humankind with love. For this, only faith is asked from us, which will allow us to establish that connection and true love through which the powerful forces that we channel can be manifested in deeds and in circumstances of good for others. This is our purpose, and this is the work that, expressed in this way, seems very simple, but has an enormous and sublime projection and is unlimited in its capacity for achievements in our world. Everything will be possible when the purification and spiritual subtlety achieved allow the Christic forces to utilize the incarnated spirits to manifest themselves on our planet. Throughout the channeling performed by incarnated spirits, it will be possible to bring to earth subtle forces that, in order to make contact with dense planes like ours, need instruments that adapt those vibrations to the vibration of that plane. We are those instruments. We have prepared ourselves spiritually for thousands of years. In our current incarnation, our matter was prepared to be capable of being an instrument of the action of our spirit, which in turn had to then connect with higher planes. This means that no one could have been chosen as human, but as spirit, and in due time was prepared in their incarnation to be able to become a channel of the elevated forces. We must consider the enormity of our responsibility and how wonderful our task is. We are not simply mediums, we must be channels of the higher forces, for which it is essential to have a pure heart and mind. Therefore, we must prepare not only our matter, eliminating everything that is toxic, but also constantly maintain mental and emotional hygiene. We must strive to eliminate negative thoughts and feelings and try to always vibrate in a positive and increasingly subtle tone. This facilitates our connection with the higher planes from where the forces that will carry out the work of redemption and evolution that the world needs will be received on our planet. The spiritualist is trying to learn the science of life, the divine truth, within what our limited human capacity allows us to understand. Let's say that God is spirit. We will never be able, as humans, to grasp the reality of the divine truth, because only through spiritual sensation can divinity be known. That sensation can only be felt by the spirit in space, and when in space, words are not necessary to express what God is, because everything in space is transmitted and understood by sensation and by mind. Therefore, it is useless for a human being to define God. God is undefinable. We can only say that God is perfection, that God is the absolute. God is the origin of all that exists and the goal of our true life. God is unique and absolute. Everything else on our plane and on all the planes is relative, and therefore us human beings will never have absolutely accurate concepts of the spiritual realities. We must be satisfied with what we are able to grasp, with what progressively and through our constant effort can reach our minds. This does not mean that, as humans, we have achieved or that we will never achieve absolute spiritual knowledge. As we progress, as we prepare ourselves mentally and spiritually, we will receive total knowledge. It is impossible for a human being, due to their great limitation, to achieve total knowledge, but each being will always receive what their own point of spiritual evolution and their own effort allows them to reach. Therefore, our constant desire must be progress and progress. But let us remember that, in order to achieve our progress, it is essential to seek it with a pure mind and pure heart, with deep faith and with true love for all humankind.